选国际记者会的现场。
Good evening, members of the domestic and international press. Thank you for attending the DPP's post-election international press conference.
稍后我们进行的方式将会由准总统赖清德先进行致辞，稍后他也即将协同准副总统萧美琴一起来进行问答。那么这个时间点将会是30分钟来进行。
In just a few minutes, we will be asking our next president, Lai Ching-te, to deliver brief remarks. He will then take questions from the press, together with our next vice president, Xiao Bi-kim. The event will be roughly 30 minutes in length.
现在，让我们欢迎准总统赖清德以及准副总统萧美琴一起抵达现场。
Now let us welcome our next president and vice president, Lai Ching-te and Xiao Mei-qing.
让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎未来的总统、副总统。
Let us use our warmest applause to welcome the next president of Taiwan to deliver his remarks.
国内外的媒体朋友，大家晚安。感谢各位的耐心等待。
Good evening, friends from the domestic and international press. Thank you for being so patient.
中华民国第16任总统、副总统以及第11届立法委员选举已经顺利在今天完成。
The Republic of China's 6th
丰厚的变化，我也要恭喜他们所领导的政党在国会席次中的斩获。期待未来能够为国家团结合作。
I want to thank the other two candidates for demonstrating the spirit of democracy. I just received their phone calls and accepted their congratulations. I also want to congratulate the parties they represent for increasing their number of seats in the legislature. I look forward to working together in unity for the future of our country.
作为2024世界大选年最瞩目的第一场大选，台湾缔造了民主阵营的第一场胜利。
As one of the first and most highly anticipated elections of 2024, Taiwan has achieved a victory for the community of democracies.
这场胜利有3个重大的意义。
We see today's results as having 3 main points of significance.
第一个意义，台湾告诉全世界，在民主和威权之间，我们选择站在民主这一边。中华民国台湾会继续和国际民主盟友并肩同行。
First, we are telling the international community that between democracy and authoritarianism, we will stand on the side of democracy. The Republic of China, Taiwan will continue to walk side by side with democracies from around the world.
第二个意义，台湾人民用行动成功抵御外部势力的介入，因为我们相信自己的总统自己选。
Second, through our actions, the Taiwanese people have successfully resisted efforts from external forces to influence this election. We trust that only the people of Taiwan have the right to choose their own president.
第3个意义，在3组候选人中，赖萧配得到最多的支持，代表国家会继续走在正确的路上，不会转向，更不会走回头路。
Third, in between 3 groups of candidates, we received the most support, meaning that the country will continue to walk on the right path forward. We will not turn around or look backwards.
我们要感谢蔡英文总统和执政团队的伙伴们，8年来尽心尽力，为台湾的改革与建设打下了深厚的基础。
We want to thank President Tsai and the entire governing team for their unfaltering efforts over the past 8 years. They have
走向沟通、协商、参与、合作的政治。我要在此表达：第一，我会深入研议2位对手的政见和主张，只要是福国利民、符合国家发展需要的，我都会纳入施政方针。
As for the new structure of the legislature, Taiwan must build a political environment of communication, consultation, participation, and cooperation. As a result, I hereby declare, first, I will carefully study the policies and positions of my two electoral opponents. As long as they bring benefit to the people and further our national development, they will be incorporated into my policy framework.
第二，未来的人事布局，我会秉持民主大联盟的精神，不分党派，用人为才，也欢迎各界推荐专业人才，一起为国家发展来努力。
Second, in terms of personnel appointments, I will act in accordance with the spirit of a democratic alliance by bringing in talent from different political parties. We will welcome recommendations from a variety of professional fields to work together for our national development.
第三，未来的施政，各党派有共识的议题，我们优先处理；还没有共识，也没有急迫性的，让我们搁置争议，持续沟通。
Third, in terms of future governance, we will prioritize issues that have consensus between political parties. On issues that have not yet reached consensus and are not urgent, we will work to set aside differences while maintaining clear lines of communication.
第四，期待解决的重大议题，例如劳保、健保的财务永续，我会建立政策沟通平台，来扩大讨论基础，广纳民意参与，跨越政党鸿沟，寻求社会的最大公约数。
Fourth, for major issues that must be resolved with urgency, such as the financial sustainability of the labor and health insurance or our energy transition, we will use national conferences or other forms of policy platforms to expand the basis for discussion, invite public participation, bridge political divides, and build consensus in society.
维持台海的和平稳定，是我担任总统的重要使命。我将依照中华民国的宪政体制，不卑不亢，维持现状，在对等尊严的前提下，用交流取代围堵，对话取代对抗，自信地和中国展开交流合作，增进两岸人民的福祉，达到和平共荣的目标。然而，面对中国的文攻武吓，我也有守护台湾的决心。
As president, I have an important responsibility to maintain peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. I will act in accordance with our democratic and free constitutional order in a manner that is balanced and maintains the cross-strait status quo. Under the principles of dignity and parity, we will use exchanges to replace obstructionism, dialogue to replace confrontation, and confidently pursue exchanges and cooperation with China. This furthers the well-being of people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait and achieves our objective of peace and common prosperity. At the same time, we are also determined to safeguard Taiwan from continuing threats and intimidation from China.
我要再次感谢台湾人民选择了赖萧配，我们深感荣幸，也必定全力以赴，不辜负所托。
Finally, I want to again thank the people of Taiwan. We are honored that you choose Lai Ching-te and Xiao Biking, and we will strive to uphold this responsibility.
选举已经结束，所有选战中的冲突和激情应该要到此为止。2300万人民都是一家人，让我们继续携手团结合作，推动国家继续往前。谢谢大家。
The elections have concluded today. All the conflicts and passions that were expressed during the campaign should also come to an end. The 23 million people of Taiwan are all one big family. Let us continue to work together with unity in order to move this country forward. Thank you.
这是胜选之后的第一场记者会。稍后我们要邀请提问的媒体能够先举手之后表达自己所属的代表媒体，再说名字，紧接着再进行提问。首先第一题。
Before we begin the first question, I would just like to make a quick clarification on a mistranslation that was made. 中华民国的宪政体制 means the ROC constitutional framework. This was mistranslated during the English part of the translation. Now let us begin with the first question. So if you could again, please state your name as well as the media outlet that you represent. Let's try in the back there. Stephen from Reuters. Stephen from Bloomberg. Sorry about that.
Hello, congratulations on the election victory. I'm Stephen Engel, television correspondent for Bloomberg Hong Kong. Obviously, with some 7 million votes cast for the two opposition candidates, there is room in the island for a softer voice towards China. I'd like to get your priorities to mitigate the risks to your most critical industry, semiconductors and high-tech, advanced tech, which have felt the pressure of increased tension between China and the U.S. and China and Taiwan. You told Bloomberg in August that Taiwan companies building factories overseas, whether it's in Arizona, Kumamoto, Japan, was a positive thing because it displayed Taiwan's economic power. But how do you help mitigate the risk that increasing tension with China essentially could weaken that strategic advantage, that strategic importance that the chip industry provides to Taiwan? Thank you very much.
我是来自彭博社的 Stephen Engel， 负责彭博香港的电视新闻。首先恭喜2位当选人，不过我们看到有700多万票是投给反对党的另外4位候选人。那么这充分的说明，台湾岛内应该还有一定的空间，可以让我们对于中国采取相对比较温和的一个态度。我想请教的事情是，请问你们当选之后要如何减缓对于台湾来说非常重要的产业，例如半导体还有高科技先进产业的风险？毕竟这一些先进高科技产业，他们在中美的战争之间、中美贸易战之间，或者是中国和台湾的冲突之间，可以说是遭受到更多的风险。因为您在8月接受彭博社专访的时候有提到，台湾的企业到海外布局，例如说到美国亚利桑那州、到日本的熊本去设厂，其实都是正面的展现了台湾企业的实力。但是我们想要了解的事情是，您要如何减缓这些冲突所带来的风险，以免对于台湾来说，在战略上如此重要的产业可能会遭受到更高的风险。谢谢。
好，谢谢您宝贵的问题。在全球智慧化的时代，半导体产业是非常关键的产业。台湾的半导体产业固然是台湾的优势，也是对世界的责任。那当然，也是因为台湾的半导体产业也是世界共同的资产。因为半导体产业是一个全球分工才有办法成就的一项产业，所以不仅仅台湾会珍惜，那我们也希望中国跟国际社会都能够一起来珍惜 这个产业。
First of all, thank you for your question. There are many industries around the world that are now moving toward a more intelligent or smarter industry, and one of them is semiconductors. Semiconductor industry, of course, is critical throughout the world. Of course, Taiwan enjoys certain advantages in the semiconductor industry, but also it is also Taiwan's responsibility to ensure that the world will also enjoy this advantage. Of course, we know that Taiwan's semiconductor industry has an advantage, but we also know that the semiconductor industry is also the world's common asset. And the advancement of the semiconductor industry is actually the result of division of labor around the world. So not only Taiwan needs to cherish this achievement, China and other countries must also cherish this industry.
台湾在蔡英文总统带领之下，在两岸的政策上面，其实都相当的稳健，也受到国际社会的肯定跟支持。
Under the leadership of President Tsai Ing-wen, cross-strait policy has been steady, and this method has actually gained the recognition of the international community.
我们并没有进行任何的挑衅。那台湾只是想要维持民主自由的生活体制。
Taiwan did not engage in any provocative actions. We only want to maintain a free and democratic style of living.
我刚刚在致辞当中也表达了同样的立场。
I also expressed the same stance in my address earlier.
只要对等尊严，台湾很乐意跟中国彼此交流合作，促进两岸人民的福祉，来创造和平共荣。
As long as there is dignity and parity between two sides of the strait, Taiwan is very willing to engage in dialogues with China. We're willing to exchange, to cooperate, for the benefit of the people on both sides of the strait so that we can create a peaceful and also prosperous environment.
而对于半导体产业的发展，未来我会大力的来协助半导体产业。 从材料、设备、研发、IC 设计、制造、封装测试，形成一个更完整的产业链，能够让半导体产业在台湾更进一步的发展，也能够因此造福全世界的经济发展。
When I become as president, I will of course continue to assist the development of the semiconductor industry. There are many different areas in the semiconductor industry, from material to IC design to R&D to manufacturing, packaging, testing, etc. We will continue to put efforts in assisting these different industries and sectors so that we can build a comprehensive cluster and further develop the semiconductor industry. This, of course, will benefit the global economy as well.
继续第二题，我们改从比较前排一点，排斥的第一。
先恭喜赖总统当选。您好，是台视新闻的记者肖比，想跟您请教说，您刚刚有提到说要为国家团结合作，那么选前的一些攻防选后呢，要如何团结在野？那会用怎么样的方式来跟在野来进行合作？那么有没有机会来跟在野的两个政党的这个党主席来碰面、来沟通、来聊？另外呢，有一些政策，您刚刚说福国利民的政策会纳入方针，那么哪一些对手的哪一些方针或政策是您未来有可能纳进来的？另外再提到说，国民党还有民众党他们选前提出的联合政府，那么您当选之后有可能跟在野党进行联合内阁吗？谢谢。
好，要不要？
Hello, I'm Xiaobi Yi from TTV. I have 3 questions. First of all, you talked about uniting the society so that we can let go of the aggression during the election campaign. So I'm wondering whether or not you would find an opportunity to meet and communicate with the chairs of the two opposition parties. Secondly, we also talked about incorporating policies from the two other parties as long as they help benefit the well-being of the people. Can you tell us what are some of the policies that you might incorporate into your policies? And the third question is that during the election campaign, both TPP and the KMT talked about building a coalition government. Will you consider this when you're forming your cabinet?
好，谢谢秉仪刚刚宝贵的问题哈。第一个问题是放下在选举当中的争议啊，或者甚至是冲突。我们在今天晚上已经成功的走出了第一步。我在致辞当中有跟大家报告，我接到了柯文哲主席以及侯友宜市长恭贺的电话。我刚刚也在致辞当中肯定他们两位，我们这一次的选举共同完成了民主历史的新页。我们也跟国际社会传达台湾对民主体制的坚持。那第二点呢，我身为总统，要领导国家，当然很乐意跟在野党的领袖大家一起见面，共商国事，来解决台湾面临的种种问题，彼此能够进一步的携手合作，推动国家进步。第三个是未来，我也会依据宪政的体制，筹组民主大联盟，用人为才，不分党派，希望让优秀的好人才能够加入政府的行列，为国家贡献力量。
Thank you, Bing for your question. For your first question about putting down the conflicts during the election campaign, I think we have successfully achieved the first step this evening. I mentioned during my address that I received calls of congratulations from both Chairperson柯文哲and also Mayor Hou You-yi. During the phone call, I also recognized their contribution during this election because we together have written a new page for Taiwan's history of democracy, because we show to the international community that the Taiwanese people insist on a democratic way of life. As for the second question, as the president, of course, it is my responsibility to lead the country. So, naturally, I will find opportunities to meet with leaders of the opposition parties so that we can communicate and discuss the major issues for the country. We need to solve problems and also cooperate together to further advance the society. Number three, I mentioned earlier that under the constitutional framework and abiding by my belief in a democratic alliance, we will receive recommendations and accept recommendations from various sectors, and we welcome any expert to assist us in building a better society.
Now let's go to the international press for the third question. And in the interest of time, if you could please keep your question short. Now, since I had mentioned Reuters accidentally in the last one, I'd like to invite Emo from Reuters to ask the next question.
Mr. Lai, you have made it very loud and clear that you will follow President Tsai's stable and cautious cross-strait policy and that you will not change the status quo. But during the past 8 years, we have also seen that President Tsai has repeatedly offered dialogues and goodwill with Beijing, but those efforts were rejected. So we would like to know how exactly will you do differently from President Tsai to demonstrate your goodwill, and what exactly will you do to re-engage and restart dialogue with Beijing? And if, unfortunately, those efforts were rejected by China again, do you have a plan B? 谢谢。
首先，我是来自路透社的 Eno， 非常恭喜赖总统当选人。 那么您在过去这段时间不断的强调，您会维持这个蔡总统过去这段时间的两岸政策，继续维持一个稳定的这个不躁进的两岸政策，而且也不改变现状。但是我们在过去这8年也看到，虽然蔡总统在很多不同的场合都展现了这个善意，并且也愿意和北京当局对话，但是呢，都遭到北京当局的拒绝。所以我想要请教您相较于蔡总统过去的做法，您会有什么样子不同的做法来展现出您的善意呢？要具体而言，怎么样子才能够重启和北京当局的对话呢？那如果又再次被拒绝的话，您有没有另外的这个计划呢？
好，谢谢您哈。过去8年来，蔡英文总统在外交、国防、两岸的稳健领导，是深受国际社会的肯定。未来我也将依据中华民国宪政体制，推动两岸的事务，希望未来两岸都能够回到健康有序的交流。当然，也一如你所说，蔡英文总统这8年来持续不断的释出善意，但很可惜，中国并没有给予应有的回应。那我们也希望在未来新的形势之下，中国也能够体认到和平是符合双方的利益，台海的稳定更是世界安全跟繁荣的必要元素。那中国也能够体认到，它也有责任，大家共同来促进两岸的稳定跟发展。
Thank you for your question. In the past 8 years, President Tsai had a very steady foreign policy and national defense policy. Her way of doing things have received recognition from the international community. So, therefore, according to the constitutional order of the Republic of China, I will conduct cross-strait affairs according to that system, so that cross-strait relations can return to a healthy and sustainable way of exchanges. Of course, as you said, President Tsai has been extending goodwill many times in the past 8 years. However, China did not provide the response that should have been there. So in the future, we hope that China will recognize the new situation and understand that only peace benefits both sides of the strait. In addition, the global peace and stability depends upon the peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait. Therefore, we hope that China will understand the situation, because China also has a responsibility.
是的，继续我们第3题，邀请为提问。中央社的素萍。
其实你刚刚说，对不起，我是中央社的记者叶素萍。刚刚你说有希望跟其他党团结合作，不过因为现在目前看起来就是国会是3党不过半，那你手上面对的是2月1号的新民意，那接下来你们是不是会争取立法院的政府那种跟在野党有合作的空间吗？因为之前选前来吧有说你要合作，那韩国瑜可能会当立法院长，那对于这一点你怎么看？然后另外距离520接棒其实还有4个月的时间，这段时间你有没有哪些要优先推动一下？然后最后还有一个比较轻松的，就是可以谈一下你的那个治选的心路历程，然后你们等一下有没有想要优先做什么？
好，谢谢。我刚刚在致辞的时候已经有跟大家报告，就这次台湾人民决定要有一个有能力的政府，以及一个有效率监督的国会。我身为总统，领导国家必须要尊重这样的能力。所以未来不仅仅我会打造开放政府 公开透明以外，也会跟在野党进行沟通、交流、参与、合作，来解决台湾所面临的各项重大问题。那第二个是，我现在还是副总统，在520年之前，我还是副总统的身份，所以我还有副总统的工作，必须要尽职的完成。那当然，我也是总统当选人，在未来几个月里面，最重要的工作应该是寻找人才，然后组成好的政府，来服务台湾人民。
So the question was from Ms. Ye from CNA, and the question was in three parts. First of all, you talked about working with the opposition parties. However, it seems now that neither party, or none of the three parties, will command a majority in the legislative yuan. But these legislators will soon assume their offices on the 1st of February, and we have heard from both the blue and white camps that they will probably try and nominate Mr. Han Kuo-yu to be the Speaker of the Legislative Yuan. And what are your views? The second question has to do with the inauguration is on May the 20th, so there's still 4 months to go. So what are some of the priorities? What kind of policies would you prioritize until you are inaugurated? And the third question was about your thoughts for these past few months. And President-elect Lai answered, number one, the most important thing for Taiwan, the clearest message from the Taiwanese people during this election cycle is that they want a competent government, but also a very strong check and balance. So, as the president, of course, we need to respect. It is our responsibility to respect the opinions of the Taiwanese people. Therefore, we will form an open and transparent government, and I will continue to communicate, exchange ideas, and involve the opposition parties and cooperate with them to solve the major issues. Second, for the second question, of course, I'm only going to be inaugurated on the 20th of May, but now I'm still the vice president, so there are jobs to do. And of course, I will fulfill those obligations. But also as the president-elect, I think my priority would be finding the talents that would help me form the best government to serve the Taiwanese people.
由于时间的关系，我们的国际胜选记者会到这里结束提问。我们邀请未来的总统和副总统能够跟媒体们挥挥手，让大家留下这个历史经典一刻的照片。这是台湾民选史上第一次政党的3连胜。稍后我们的未来的总统跟副总统也即将会跟率领所有的竞选团队到舞台发表胜选的感言。现在由他们向大家来挥挥手，留下这个历史经典一刻。
Because of time constraints, our press conference is now concluded. This is the first time in Taiwan's history a political party has received 3 terms in office. Following this event, our next president and vice president, Lai Ching-te and Xiao Mei-qi, will lead members of the campaign to deliver their victory remarks to the nation. Thank you all for participating in this press conference.
再次谢谢大家来参与我们的国际记者会，谢谢。我们的记者会到这里圆满的结束，再度的对大家表达辛苦与感谢。